There's the audio. Now they can hear us.
They just saw us taking a shot.
They just saw us taking a shot. They couldn't hear. They didn't hear the plan, actually, now that I realize it.
Perfect.
So our plan did work out, and then I just ruined the plan by bringing it back up again.
All good.
So, yeah, all you listeners out there, we had a brilliant plan. We were going to come in live and take this shot. Countdown, 3, 2, 1, cheers. And that was going to be the intro to the show. Botched it big time. So
I mean, it kind of worked.
It kind of worked. We still took the shot. Everyone on Facebook saw us take the shot.
They didn't hear the clink.
They did not. We can do that at least.
Yeah.
Cheers. Empty glass is bad luck.
Boom.
That's what we do here.
Dang it.
Right on. Well, Ben Pooh, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm fantastic, dude. Thank you for taking the time to come out and do this podcast with me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is an awesome new setup that you have here. I'm loving it.
Thank
Studio is looking great. I'm loving the idea of this new podcast, too. This is awesome.
I appreciate that. I mean, the whole goal of this podcast is to just get out there and start interviewing and promoting certainly local acts and music acts of all types. So
that's perfect.
Thank you. I mean, we're in close proximity to a music venue, and I feel like I don't want to let that go to waste. I don't want to let that opportunity go to waste. So That's why we're here. And speaking of that music venue, I mean, we'll get into who you are and all that as we go through the podcast here, but you, sir, have a show coming up tomorrow night, actually Friday night.
I do. I'll be at the Moxie Theater right across the street here in lovely downtown Greeley. Opening up for Andy McKee, who's an amazing guitar player who's just, oh my gosh, he's so crazy. He got famous kind of on YouTube, oddly.
Right.
He was a guitar instructor, and people were just like, man, you have this really cool, crazy style. And so he started putting out these videos of amazing arrangements that he did on acoustic guitars, and he's got a lot of different crazy acoustic guitars and instruments.
I saw one of his videos. What is that instrument? Like, it's a guitar, but it has like this weird curvy over, I don't know what the hell that is.
Yeah, it's basically an acoustic guitar that has he kind of built in some bass notes at the top.
Okay.
And so you can hit lower bass tones in the middle of like your arrangements and on the other part of the neck. Okay. He's got so many crazy instruments like that I'm just dying to see this, dying to see what he's bringing with him, and how he plays them is just amazing. He plays like, for me, example, I use a lot of looping, which is kind of cheating, where I'll lay down some rhythm and then like lead over it. But this guy plays or arranges songs in such a way that he's playing like the rhythm and the melody all at the same time. He's just got
without the loop.
Yeah.
But he has an instrument to support it. So.
Yeah, he's playing all the parts. He just figured out a way to do everything with two hands somehow.
Well, I'm going to be straight up honest. I hadn't heard of him until I saw the show coming up.
Oh, really?
I mean, I'm on YouTube now, so I'm soon to be YouTube famous, and everyone's going to know my name at some point.
Of course.
But I guess before I started getting into this, not too big on the social medias. Doesn't matter. So I may have missed this Andy McKee, but I have gone back and watched some of his videos. He's been around for quite some time. Very impressive. His style, and we'll definitely get into you here, Ben, but you're playing a show with him tomorrow, so that's super important.
I am super psyched for that.
Dude, that's super sick. But this Andy McKee style, he does a lot of like slapping on the guitar and like setting up beats on the guitar, and that's just, I guess, very unique. I don't know. Yeah,
I mean, the only way I can explain it, like I was kind of saying earlier, the way he arranges songs so that one person can tackle it on a guitar.
On a single instrument.
Is just amazing, because, he'll start slapping the guitar during beats and, like, slapping strings. He uses his right hand to go up the neck a lot, does some tapping stuff. Like, he does all sorts of different things that I think people are going to really enjoy for that show. Like, it's going to blow their minds.
So the show's tomorrow night, Moxie Theater.
Yep.
You're opening up for him.
Yep.
You're doing a solo set. What time does the show start?
I believe it's 8 p.m. doors at the Moxie.
Okay.
And I think I go on at 8:30, so very shortly there after the doors. I'm not exactly sure what time he goes on yet. I don't even know how long my set is quite yet. But I would guess I'm around 45 minutes to an hour, so he'll be on around, my guess would be around 9:30 or so if you're trying to catch the show.
Definitely get there to catch Ben. I don't know why you'd want to miss that.
I don't know.
I do always find this funny, though, and I don't know if you have an answer to this. Why do musicians and artists never know when they're supposed to be somewhere, or like what time they're supposed to be somewhere? Or I've done this a few times, and I've even talked to musicians on the street or whatever, and I'm like, "Well, what time are you guys going on?" And they're just, "We don't. Whenever they tell us to go on."
Yeah. I think that's partly our fault because as a musician, I don't know. Sometimes people think we're a little flaky on getting things done. For example,
Tonight,
I was supposed to be on live at 8:00, but by the time I got a cab down here, we structured everything out, and it went on at 9. So I don't know what to tell you on that.
That's all right. I mean, we're here. We made it. You're a night owl regardless, and this is something that has blown my mind.
Yes, and actually that worked in my favor, I guess, tonight.
Yeah.
Starting at 9, so I'm a little more awake and coherent right now. That's great.
I mean, look, so we've been trying to plan this podcast, and I know you're a night owl. You stay up all night and you sleep during the day, which blows my mind. I don't know how anybody could do that for any reason, but you seem to do it. And you're telling me, I'm like trying to plan. I'm like, come on, Ben, can we do it at we'll do it like most of these podcasts I try to set up evenings, like 5 p.m., or if that's the weekend, like midday, whatever.
And that's what's funny to me. You call 5 p.m. evening, and
Yeah.
I'm like, what? It's like the middle of the night for me.
I know. And then I'm trying to tell you, I'm like, all right, Ben, we'll do a late show. I can go, let's do 7 o'clock. We'll get this thing rolling. We'll get you on the podcast.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, I'm not even awake. I just opened my eyes. My alarm went off at that point.
I mean, I think I got into the shower at 7 p.m. tonight, so.
Okay.
I mean, we were close. Nine's pretty close. I think we're on musician time all of a sudden.
Definitely.
Where you were the responsible one trying to get me up and get here at a real time.
It's so mind-blowing. So, do you get up, do a morning routine? Do you get a cup of coffee and chill and read the newspaper in your robe and
Man, I wish it was like that. It's not like that most days. If it's the day of a show, I guarantee you most likely I'm sleeping as long as I can until I have to get up, get ready, and go out the door.
And head straight to that show.
Yeah. If I'm lucky, maybe I'll get to eat something beforehand so I can pad my stomach. Otherwise, I'm getting beer and whiskey for breakfast. It's kind of weird. Not the way to do it usually, but sometimes that does happen.
That does happen. So you're on this weird sleep schedule where, and I know we're going deep into this, but it's okay. It's a podcast. You're on this weird sleep schedule where you wake up at 7 p.m., and most people, when they wake up, have breakfast. I'm not saying that you have drinks every time, but it's you wake up and most people are out just getting ready to go party, getting ready to have a few beers, and you're not going to leave them hanging. Definitely
No, of course not. It's just a different way of life. I don't know how to explain it. It's like working third shift. If I had, a night job, I'm going to go in late. I get off, let's say sometime in the morning. What's the one thing everyone likes to do when they get off of work? They want to go home, relax, have a beer. I still do that when I get home at 2 in the morning after a show. I need to have my beer and sit and relax. Right. Yeah. And then do the work that I have to do before I go to bed. It's just at a slightly different time than most people. Yeah.
That is a mind-blowing aspect of your life that I've only recently come to find this out about you. We've known each other for a few years at this point.
Yep.
Obviously. I've seen you play hundreds of shows, I think. Probably.
Good chance. Yeah.
But let's get into that. Let's get into kind of your lifestyle. So obviously you have this crazy lifestyle that we just discussed, your crazy sleep schedule that we just discussed. But why is it that way? I mean, you play a lot of music, and that's your sole job at this point. You just play music.
Yeah.
Which, to call yourself a true musician, is a very difficult thing to do, and I think it's very cool to see. So
I'm very lucky in that respect. I was telling you earlier, obviously I did have a day job,
right?
And I was there for a better part, or my grown-up job, I kind of like to call it, where I was a social worker for the better part of a decade. And I loved my job, but what it came down to is I was working all day, and then coming home, sleeping a couple hours, and then playing all night. Come home, sleeping a couple hours, back to work, and it kind of wears on you after a while. It's doable, and I do miss parts of that job. But, after doing it so long, and I was working really hard at trying to make my life more involved in music, I finally, I think, had a chance, a light at the end of the tunnel where I could maybe give it a try and try music full time. And it was scary because I told my boss, I was like, I'm going to go ahead and try to leave. I didn't quit and just walk out the door. I stayed and helped train people. And I was there for even a while after I officially quit. But it was scary. Like I didn't know how much money I was going to make. Like I took the dive thinking I could pay my bills, and that was about it. And the
so
first
you
year,
didn't sit down and write down a plan like, I'm going to play this many shows, I'm going to make this much money, and this is guaranteed, and it's going to work out this way.
that would have been the smart way to do it. I don't think I was even close to thinking about writing things down and making a plan like that. It was more like, wow, I'm playing a lot. Can I make this work? And if I'm not working all day, maybe that means I get to book a couple extra shows. And I was already doing pretty well, like paying my bills.
Okay.
So I just dove in, finally took a chance. And that first year was pretty darn scary because, you're just getting by, but I'm still living.
And you don't want to give up.
Exactly.
Either. Like, yeah, you just stepped out the door. It's like, you're not going to give up after a week. You're not going to give up after a month.
Yeah.
And that's like probably like the hardest point, It's like get past those first. I don't know. I mean, I have some of my own experiences in that similar manner. But it was funny when I told my boss that I'm going to go pursue my dream of. I was actually wanted to go publish a beer magazine.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I remember this. Yeah,
the Pint magazine.
Yeah.
And I was working 2 jobs at the time. I was bartending, and then I got this super cool job. I've never talked about this. I don't talk about this very often, but I got the super cool job working at this company that basically maintains a fleet of vehicles that journalists reach out to, and they're basically like test cars that journalists can reach out to and write like, hey, I want to test this car. Like, okay, cool. We have it. We've been maintaining it. It's oil changed. It's ready to go. Come and take it. So like we're like a mediary between like the car companies and the
people who want to scope it out.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I got that job working through bartending. Like this group of people came in and they were just super cool. And I was like, what are you guys into? Because they were talking about cool cars. And like, oh, remember we drove that really badass car? Like, blah, blah. I was like, oh, I like cars. What are you guys into? So they said, well, we have a job. You want to come check it out? I said, hell yeah.
Like, heck yeah. Let's try it. I'm down.
Yeah, I'm down. So I went to that and was working with them. And at that point, it turned out to me just like washing a lot of cars. They were cool cars. And I got to drive some of them, but it wasn't, whatever. It doesn't matter. But at the same time, I'm working on this idea. I want to start this beer magazine because I love craft beer, obviously.
Yep.
It's a big part of my life. And I saw an opportunity to do that. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to go try and do this. And so I told them, hey, I want to go test this dream out. And they're like, oh, so you want nothing to do with us anymore, right? And I'm like, no, that's not it. That's not it.
That's not what I said.
That's not what I said. They're like, well, it's too late. Gone.
Dang it.
Crazy story. So I was like just like thrown out onto the street basically. I'm like, all right, well, I guess I definitely have to go chase this dream down.
But it seemed like it worked at this point. Like,
it did. I mean, it worked out. It was like, okay, well, that's just a kick in the pants to get this thing rolling.
Sometimes that's what you need. You need to be scared a little bit to see if something works. Like,
Exactly.
I didn't know it was going to work, but when you're like frightened and you need food
you
and a roof over your head.
Keep moving your feet and just keep going. Like there's no choice at that point.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting point. So I feel like that's kind of what you're talking about. It's just that being out there, scared, kind of feeling alone. Like I just took a huge risk. I don't have any financial responsibility. You have financial responsibility, but how am I going to take care of that responsibility?
How am I going to actually pay for that on something?
Yeah.
Especially when it's a little different too when you're betting on yourself. Like you lose a job and then you're worried that you can't find a next one. So you're like hitting the pavement trying to get a next job. You're interviewing, you're doing all that. But when you're betting solely on yourself,
right,
saying, hey, if you don't get this money for your rent or something this week or whatever,
it's all on you.
You have no one to blame but yourself. And it's kind of a crappy situation because you're like, well, maybe I should have worked harder this month on booking or talking to these people or, doing something else. I don't know. It's scary.
It is scary, but it is just that whole... It's all on you. There's nothing even I included like, okay, well, I lost my bartending, or I didn't lose my bartending job, but okay, I can go find another bartending job if I need to. Like that's easy. Like anywhere I can go get one.
And at least not that's a big deal. In the back.
It's always in the back burner.
Yeah.
So I guess that for me, And I'm not going to sit here and tell anybody the pint or my magazine that I tried to do was a success. It wasn't.
It was the pint.
It was the pint. It was great. It was fun. I got to drink a lot of free beer and
Heck yeah.
and interview some cool people. Kind of the impetus for what's going on here.
Well, and great for Colorado because I mean that's kind of the point we were at.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, there's so much great crap.
So many
here.
new. Yeah.
Exactly. And I don't mean to keep turning this on myself here, but just that. What was I going to say? I just always knew that if I had to, I could fall back on a job, on a skill set that I had previously learned.
Of course.
But I was able to go take that risk, and it didn't pan out, but it was such an amazing experience, and I learned so much just from doing that, and just made so many connections that I still use to this day.
Of course.
Through that. So have you had an experience with that? You're like, so you get out there, it's been a year, what's going on? Like, how does that happen?
Well, I mean, initially, as far as the music side of it, basically I just saw things getting better by the year. Now, I've been playing music in bars and live since I was at least 18, and that's in bars.
Okay.
So I've been doing the gigging thing for a long time. So you can kind of see how things have evolved through year by year when I'm playing, and especially like with pay and how many gigs I'm getting. So when I left my job, obviously it was scary that first year, but then the next year was just a little bit better. And then by like year 3, it was even just a little bit better. And it continually grows, I feel, or knock on wood, actually, because it's still a scary world out there. There's always more competition. There's always more musicians. There's venues going up. There's venues going down. So you really have to just feel what's going out there. So it's still scary. There's no like planned set course of how this is going to go. And, 5 years down the road, maybe I'll be a social worker again. Like I have no idea. But at least once again, I have that one thing that I learned back in the day, some skill set. Like it's going to change over the years. If I'm out of it for like a decade or 15 years, whoever I'm interviewing with for a social work job is going to be like, do you even know how to use these programs? Do you even know how to file for Medicaid, Medicare? The forms changed like 10 years ago. And I'll be like, oh, great.
You guys use Windows 98? That's
dang it.
Just kidding. No, man. But, and you're right. I guess as the longer you're out of it, the harder it is to fall back.
Yeah.
But, like you said, it's still there if you absolutely needed to.
Yeah.
I mean, but you don't need to, and it's been going 8 years. Like, that's quite a run for anybody to just work completely. It's freelance. You're a completely freelance artist, which it blows my mind because I see you everywhere. I'm always saying, oh, got a show here, got a show here, got a show here around town.
Yeah, and I'm trying. Yeah. Well, and anywhere and everywhere. I'm just trying to play wherever someone wants music. and that could be me solo, which obviously, I play a lot solo.
Yeah.
But the band, too, because I have Ben, Pooh, and Crew. And those fellows are out of Denver right now, even though they're from Greeley.
Right.
They live in Denver right now, which has made it a little more difficult for practicing and things. But we still get together and play shows. And we just, we try to truck along and play any cool show that we can get to. We've had some good ones, too. I mean, especially the Crew.
What's some of the bigger shows you've played?
Well, the ZZ Top one was, amazing.
What? How'd that happen? What's that? I know ZZ.
Yeah.
Not what ZZ Top.
Well, we got to open up for them at Thunder Mountain, which was amazing. Just a great show. And then Kenny Wayne Shepherd, which was a little more recently.
Yeah.
That one was really cool because it was just Ben, Pooh, and Crew and Kenny Wayne Shepherd.
So it was you and then him.
Yeah.
Boom.
It was so cool. And we got to like meet the drummer backstage, who's the drummer for Steve Ray Vaughan and Double Trouble, and he said good job, and we were all like fangirling
good
out.
Job?
We were like, oh my gosh. We're like fanning ourselves after he left. Total fangirl, red faces. It was amazing.
Well, did you get to meet Kenny Wayne Shepherd?
We did not. No, we did not.
Why is that?
We got to meet the rest of the band.
Okay.
He was like getting ready to go onto stage, and he was kind of doing his own thing right before, like his prep, right before he walked on stage.
Okay.
But the other guys stopped by and like said
what's
what
up.
Chris Layton was the drummer, and we were just like, oh my God. He's like, hey, good set, guys. And we're like, thanks. And we called him by name, like, thanks, Chris. Yeah, we know who you are. Like, oh my gosh, we we've loved you for a long time, and we're just like, oh my god, this is happening. This is so awesome.
Where was that at? Where was this venue?
Thunder Mountain Amphitheater.
Oh, that was Thunder Mountain as well?
Yeah, that was. It was out in Loveland.
Right.
By the Harley Davidson place.
Right. I've never been there.
And the radio station's out there as well.
It is. Oh, different. And we're not going to talk about that. But yeah, Thunder Mountain. They have an amphitheater out there. I've never been to that amphitheater, but I do know they get some decent acts out there for sure.
Yeah.
Because they do a big motorcycle rally kind of, I think, in August, I think.
Mm-hmm. They do a summer concert series usually.
Okay. And so you've been involved with them.
Yeah. No, they've been really, really nice and generous to us.
I mean, that's super amazing.
Mark Broussard, we played with him one year. That was really good.
Okay.
That was awesome.
So, like, what's one of your favorite, one of those, or what's one of your favorite shows that you've played ever?
Oh, well, was that
it?
That's kind of hard to narrow down. I can tell you one of the coolest things for me recently that someone I played with. Well, Art from Everclear I got to open up for him. That was amazing. He was such a awesome, nice guy. But probably my biggest fangirling, oh my gosh moments, I can't believe I'm playing this show, for me personally, was Howie Day, because I've been listening to him since college. And I told Eli at the Moxie Theater, I was like, if you ever get this guy, please try hard to get him. If you ever get him, you promise me that you'll at least ask if I can open up for that show, because I have been following him forever. I'm the biggest fan. And then it actually happened. I couldn't believe it. So I get on the bill. It's even a Sunday night, and I just went around whoring myself around to everybody saying, please come to the show. This is like my dream come true. And he was a great guy, too. We got to actually hang out, talk a little bit. He was a wonderful guy. The show was great. And I just always loved watching him. So to open up for him, and him to say some things about my guitar playing, and then me get to sit in the crowd and watch him after I'm done, I'm just like, holy cow, how cool is that? It was amazing.
That's awesome. How long ago? When was that? I mean,
that was about 2 or 3 years back now.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, dude. So maybe we can get into some influences of your music and how you kind of got into the style that you put out there.
Sure.
So yeah.
When you get asked that, it's so strange because your influences change over time.
Okay.
But what got me into playing guitar and playing shows and writing music, comes from a little bit of everywhere. Initially, a lot of stuff from my dad. Some of the folky stuff that my parents were listening to. So James Taylor, John Denver, Simon and Garfunkel. I'm huge into Simon and Garfunkel.
Really?
Oh, love them. But then you start finding your own influences. And my brother, at the time when I was starting to kind of pick up guitar ish, because it was a little rough start. I didn't dive into it, but once I started getting into it, my brother was listening to Stevie Ray Vaughan, and that just really got me into the blues, which I think you've even seen me play a lot of Stevie.
Oh yeah.
With the band. A huge band for me growing up, or just first getting into music, which made me even want to play it more. So I needed to learn guitar more to do it. Was Big Head Todd and the Monsters. Is one of my favorite bands of all time, and they're here, Colorado based.
I was gonna say they're Colorado band, right?
Yep.
I didn't want to get that wrong, so I didn't say it. But.
Love them. If you're listening out there, Big Head Todd, my next dream, or my dream still, is to open and play for you guys. I'd love to. And then, as you go through the 90s and the early 2000s, you just pick up all other stuff, like the Jack Johnsons, the Dave Matthews, because I'm really into acoustic music.
Right.
So those styles speak well to me.
And I mean, that's I guess most of my experience with you is just, it's not just, but go to a bar, Ben Pooh's playing, he's got a set, acoustic guitar, and you're singing and you're setting up a loop and you're just going to go for it. You play a lot of original songs as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, and you play a lot of covers as well, too.
The bar gigs you have to do the whole cover thing.
Well, I'm always back there. You break out the Bird song from the Grateful Dead, and I'm just back there woo! Ben Pooh!
Bless your soul for doing that. I love playing some Dead.
Thank you. Are you a big fan of the Dead?
Oh yeah.
Like,
No, I
okay.
mean, yeah. Especially when people actually ask for it, because
Yes.
sometimes I'm playing. Let's say I'm downstairs and I'm playing at a bar with, some younger people. Let's
Yeah.
put it that way.
They probably don't know who
It's
Grateful
not like
Dead
the
is.
first thing they ask for is the Grateful Dead.
No.
It's usually like top 40, which I mean, I have to learn that stuff too.
Yeah.
I enjoy pop music. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
Love it. But I'm a little more on the jammy side, I would say,
Yeah.
with my music.
See, that's what you do blend that style very well, which is something somewhat refreshing. I mean, again, I'm not big into pop music. I can't say I know a lot of pop artists or listen to their music, but I can feel that blending happening, that kind of style.
Well, thank you.
So I always appreciate it. And then, like I said, when you bring the Grateful Dead on,
Oh, yeah.
I'm in the back just yelling. Everyone else is like, "What is this?
Oh, it's
the
such
best-
good music.
It's the greatest thing ever. What are you talking about?"
I know. It's so good. And not that there's anything wrong with pop music.
No.
We all have that one that's just like in your mind all day. You hear it on the radio and you're like, even if you're trying not to like it, you end up singing it somewhere along in your day. And,
Who was it for you?
oh man, there's so many guilty pleasures. I can't even get into that.
Name one,
There's
and I'll
no-
name mine as well.
Well, like some of the new stuff, if we're going newer, like current, like
More
Shawn Mendes. I really like Shawn Mendes. I don't know why. I love his voice, and his songs are so catchy. I don't know what it is about that.
Shawn Mendes.
Do you know? No.
I don't even
That's
know.
like-
Okay,
oh,
I'm
come
sorry.
on, man.
Sorry, Shawn Mendes. I'm sorry.
Um,
This is how behind I am. I'm so anti-pop culture, but it's
I mean, I just learned "Happier" from Marshmello, for God's sakes, and Bastille. But I love that song. What can I do? If it's on the radio and I'm just jamming out to it, it's really hard to not want to play it.
you
or
gotta
like,
go for it.
exactly. I mean, can we even say those names on? Like,
Yeah, we can
What's
say
it?
we can say them. I think people think it's funny. I think it's funny,
yeah,
but it's lots of people like them, and it's for good reason.
I agree.
I can't. I mean, pop music is popular for a reason. It's not
Oh, Charlie Puth. That was another one I was thinking. I was kind of like scanning my iPad.
okay.
Like Shawn Mendes, Charlie Puth. They're kind of like the younger of this little pop acoustic scene right now. But I don't know. I dig it. I don't know why. I just
There's
do.
nothing wrong. I mean,
It's catchy.
you know what? I think I need to mature myself a little bit, and maybe a week ago I would have judged you really hard.
And well, you
But
probably
I'm
still
so-
should.
but I should-
But
yeah, okay. But you know what? I have to respect that. I mean, it is catchy, and for me, one of those artists that I guess I just hate to admit that I kind of snap my fingers to is and I can't remember the song, of course, but this is how out of touch I am. Lord, she had that super popular song
Yeah.
maybe like 4 years ago. I don't know what it is.
yeah.
Do you know what it's called? Sit in the backseat.
You don't care.
Yeah, that song. Yeah, that's one.
Oh,
of the,
Royals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one. That one.
I
Always
had to get
catches
to the
my-
chorus before
Yeah.
I could remember the name of the song.
That always catches my attention.
She was supposed to play here in Greeley not
Really?
too long ago.
What?
Yeah, at the Moxie. Eli was trying to get her, and then,
What happened?
well, the problem is she blew up so fast.
So it's like right on that edge.
Yeah, like you got to catch those up and comers at the right time. She just got so big so fast, and now we didn't get to see her in Greeley. So
Well,
that
maybe
sucks,
she'll
but-
come back now because maybe I can't say we've heard a lot. I mean, I'm not
You
talking. I'm not
you
talking
never know
smack
how
or
that
anything,
works, yeah.
but maybe she'll come back through.
Sometimes that's how it works.
Get in touch with the roots. But and we can talk about that too. Like some of the shows that come through the Moxie always blow my mind. Like it's so many. I mean, there's tons of local support, tons of Colorado support for great local bands.
Yeah.
But then every once in a while, they're like, "Holy shit! How did you? That band is right there, right there,
Right across the
right
street.
across the street."
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Like, we never had that before.
No.
Like the Moxie existed. I know Eli was trying with some other venues previously,
Okay.
obviously.
Yeah.
And then we have the UCCC, which gets some really cool stuff too, which is
Definitely.
oddly right across the street as well. So all this cool stuff downtown. But yeah, all of a sudden we're getting this hip new like. I'm hoping that the Moxie builds this repertoire with all these musicians that keep passing, because musicians obviously talk to musicians when they're on the road, they're like, oh yeah, man, on your way to Fort Collins, on your way to Denver, on your way through Colorado, and you're going to Utah, or vice versa, you got to stop by this place, the Moxie. Like, it's so nice. The venue's great. I just want that to keep building and building because it's such an amazing venue.
It is. And I say this every podcast, and I hope the listeners out there don't get tired of hearing it, but it is. It's so sweet. It's upstairs. It's got a sweet view of the freaking street, like the beautiful downtown Greeley Plaza.
It's so clean.
It's clean. It is one of the cleanest venues I think I've ever been in, by far.
If you are a concert goer and you've been to every venue in Colorado, if you've been to all the venues in Fort Collins, Boulder, Denver, the first thing you're going to notice when you walk into the Moxie is, oh my God, this is so clean. Because all those big venues are so old in the other cities.
They are.
And they're not exact. I mean, I'm sure they clean.
They're maintained. They're
maintained.
Yeah.
But they're not like pristine like the Moxie.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah.
Is the Moxie too clean? Maybe that needs to be the next headline for the
I don't know.
Local paper. Is the Moxie too clean? Just kidding.
It probably is, but but I enjoy it.
I enjoy it because you never feel like grossed out. You're never like stepping in like sticky crap. I mean, unless someone spills right in front of you, but that happens anyway.
I mean, that's going to happen at a venue regardless, but
not right when you walk in the door. Like it's freaking like perfect.
It's just so nice in there, yeah. And I think every musician that's come through, no matter how big, that's gone over there has always commented somewhere along the line like, "Oh my gosh, I love this place."
I wonder if Eli has OCD. I've never talked to him. Maybe he is.
No, maybe.
Yeah. I
should probably pay more attention.
Well, I mean, what else can we talk about here? You have so that's what you do, man. You freaking play bars every night, and that's your life. I mean, obviously you do more than that, but like that's how you sustain yourself. Hey, am I wrong in saying that?
No, that's kind of like the bread and butter of, well, I'm going to pay my bills.
Right.
Let's put it that way. But obviously, in the long run, you want to get out your name to play these bigger shows.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of a weird thing for me as opposed to some of the other musicians around here who don't want to do the bar shows. Because it's not a glamorous thing. It's not
glamorous
at all. But you do make fans. But it's also in a weird passing. Like, they're not coming to that place that you're playing, per se, just because you're there all the time.
Okay.
So you might have this crowd base of just people who wanted to go out that night and go to the bar, have a drink.
And then it's a nice surprise when Ben Pooh's there?
Well, hopefully.
I mean, of course. I mean,
that's the hope.
Yeah.
And from my side, it's the hope maybe a couple of these people who've never heard me before will be like, I really like that. Can I come see you again? And then hopefully you start getting in touch on social media and making sure that they know when you play again. But ultimately, I mean, in the long run, I'm hoping that that's going to something bigger. That's always every musician's hope, right?
To. Yeah. I mean, you put that much work into something, it's especially as talented as you. I mean, this is just me talking as a fan. Like, especially as talented as you are, which I know for a fact. Anyone out there listening that doesn't know Ben Pooh's music, just take my word for it that he's definitely talented.
Well, thank you.
Very talented. So, yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think a lot of musicians look at that, the amount of work that has to go into that, and the work ethic and the grind. It's such a grind when you look at it that way. Like, I'm going to go play every single bar every single night, and everyone in Northern Colorado that goes out and drinks
mm-hmm.
is going to know my name. I think that's a lot of people overlook that as an actual like a feasible way to go. You know,
I think it's a difference in perspective, especially with musicians. I think like it's really hard to. I'm trying to see where that's going exactly.
Okay,
it's hard to explain how it's benefited me, but also there are some detours from that as well. When you're playing all the time in the same town, like you do have to make sure you make a lot of fans so that somewhere along the line they're coming to each show.
Okay.
Or when you have a really big one, then that's really cool too because you can really reach out to that base and try to pack a big special one.
Right.
But it also changes how I have to play. And my main thing, the reason why I think I've been able to do this so long so far, is just trying to play when I'm doing the bar shows, I'm playing to my crowds, and I really enjoy that. So I test songs, I feel like, out during the middle of my set to see what's clicking with people.
Okay.
So if there's like a younger crowd in there, maybe I'll throw them these certain songs. And I was like, okay, is that clicking? Is that not clicking? If not, I dial it back. If so, I push it forward and do a few more of those. And a lot of musicians aren't willing to put in that work and do that. They want only their stuff all the time. And that's what keeps them from making money full-time on it, because they're waiting for those big shows. And that It makes sense, though, because then their big shows are huge.
They're huge.
And all their friends come to them because they haven't seen them in so long. So I get that point of view, too.
But to get one of those big shows is so rare. Like, it's almost impossible. I mean, it happens. It does happen.
The hardworking bands do it. I mean, you just had Silver and Gold in here not too long ago. And love those guys.
They are.
And they're killing it. And they're playing some great shows. But I was just talking to Pi.
Yep.
And we both were.
Yeah.
And he said he wasn't a huge fan of just doing like the bar shows. It kind of wasn't his thing, especially with some of his own original music.
Right.
And which seems fun to me. He wants to be in the studio with those songs, and that's cool.
Definitely.
Because I'm frightened of the studio. I do not like recording in the studio. Just, oh my gosh, I'm such a maniac in there. It's weird. But he does, and every musician has their own thing, and that's what I love, though. And for me, yeah, I just liked always playing in front of people constantly. Like, that was my thing. I just enjoy it so much. It doesn't feel that much of a grind, like a grind to me, because that's what I enjoy.
Well, that's how you know it's special. Like, that's how you know what you're doing, what you need to be doing.
I hope so.
I mean, it's definitely, dude. Like, anybody that can make money doing something that doesn't feel like a grind and support themselves, support their bills, whatever, doing whatever they love, that's freaking amazing.
I'm not going to say there's not some rough weeks in there.
Of course there are. Of course there are. I mean, any thing that's not a stable job, you know?
Yeah, when your fingers are blistering and you can barely hold on to a note, it happens. You just got to push through it.
Yeah. But I think it would be easy to look. I don't want to say look down, because I don't look down, and I think it's an amazing thing. But for a lot of people that are looking for that grandeur, that I want to be famous, they're going to overlook that as a viable place to start. So
I think that's true, but also thinking that far, like to the big picture, is also good sometimes too. I mean, because that pushes that eventual person who makes it.
For sure.
They got there for a reason.
Sure.
I'm a personal believer of paying your dues, and because I've paid a lot of them. But if you go back and think about a lot of your favorite musicians who maybe are popular today, and you talk about kind of their travels on how they got there.
Yeah.
A lot of those stories are going to be how hard they were working at. I was playing so many gigs doing this. I was working in the studio. I mean, they were busting their balls to get to where they got. They had those shows with one person in the crowd.
Yep.
And they're like, what am I doing? But they didn't give up, and they kept going, and maybe next time it's 2. And then 10 years later, you might have gotten to 15. But they kept persevering, and they got there. But I don't know. I'm a big believer in that. I
mean, there's a lot of truth to that, because it is easy to look at, which is all that we see, all that the consumer sees, all the listener, all the fans see is, oh, these people are big now. Well, how did they get big? You're right. They did put in some work at some point, for sure. Every band did.
Hopefully.
I mean, hopefully.
Well, I think that's what gets lost a little bit with younger people in our social media and our consumerism in general, especially when you see a really young artist. I mean, they look great. Hopefully they sound great. But they got this thing, and they're so young that and they didn't get there by doing the legwork behind it. It just kind of happened. Someone's like, oh, you fit the profile? Let's make you big. Let's do this. We got this. And I was like, well, where was the hard work in there?
Yeah.
I haven't found anybody that was just ready to come up to me and be like, let's make you a star, and then they help me do it. That did not happen.
That didn't happen.
No.
And that's a weird thing, because, I mean, when we bring up that scenario, Justin Bieber comes to mind. I mean, he's freaking, I don't know his whole story, sorry to say. I don't know what he did when he was getting into music. I don't know how he got where he is. But it just seems like one day someone said, you are what we need, and you're gigantic now.
Well, if you know a little bit about his story, that actually kind of did happen. But
Okay.
he was actually kind of crazy talented when he was a kid. They were posting YouTube videos of him like playing drum. He's actually a very talented drummer.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And he plays other instruments. He was a really good singer. He loved to dance. His parents were basically putting on those videos on YouTube, and he got found by a very famous person. We can X-nay that out. And yeah, like kind of helped him get there. He's like, he saw some talent, brought him up, and that's kind of how that worked. But that doesn't happen for everybody, though.
So
that's the thing. That's what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah. So there's this weird expectation, or maybe it's an expectation, just this weird. I guess people are looking for that. Like, well, if I put this out here, I'm good enough. I'm going to get picked up, so I'm going to be gigantic. And for the vast majority of people, that's not going to necessarily happen. Like
No, but
I mean, you hope it does, and that's why you do it in the first place. It's like, well, maybe. So that kind of that's maybe more to your point is that having those visions of grandeur, it's like, okay, well, that's why I'm going to do this in the first place, and then hopefully it happens right away. Or if not, you just have to have that tenacity to keep it going.
Yeah. Yeah, if it doesn't happen right away, you got to have that patience to just keep working at it.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say about that because I had
Patience.
a lot of patience.
I mean, that's just like a life skill I think that everyone needs to learn.
Yeah, just got to get back to the grind.
Yeah. So let's kind of get more into your music. Like, what goes into your songwriting? Like, what do you look for? What do you try to get out to the world through your music?
I think if we're going the larger scale of everything, that encapsulates most of it.
Yeah.
I try to be a little more upbeat about things. Obviously, someone's going to have experiences in their life where you write a breakup song or a sad song. But I try to keep it, even if it's about those things, I try to keep my songs upbeat. I'm not really into complete stories in my writing. I kind of like to leave things open for interpretation.
Okay.
When I do my songwriting, because I'd rather someone take away what they need to take away from that song when they listen to it, and just hope that it sounds good to them. I know that sounds weird.
No, I like that because I think a lot of people like to. This is my story, and you're going to hear it my way.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is. So I think that seems more valuable. Or potentially more valuable for sure.
I hope so. One of my least favorite questions in interview situations is actually, what's this song about?
Okay.
And yeah, I could go ahead and tell you what was happening in my life and why this kind of came up and what some of these lines mean. But let's say you're a really big fan of this song, and I tell you that, and that is complete opposite of what you enjoyed the song for.
You may lose what you had loved about it before.
I don't want to take that away from you.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I have a lot of friends who tell me stories about, like, I loved this song till I found it was about blah, blah, blah. And they're like, I didn't know that. And now, whatever.
That's an interesting point. And that gets overlooked because people are always trying to look for meanings in songs. For sure. Any song.
Yeah. Well, and there's meaning there. Like, I have my own special meaning for it.
For
believe
sure.
me. And if my meaning comes through to you, that's great. But if you took something else away from it and it helps you through something and you still love it, dude, I'm glad that you believe that it meant that to you. And it should.
And that's all it needs to be because music is an open-ended kind of entity. It doesn't need to be this closed loop of I mean,
Agreed. Sometimes
sometimes it can be because sometimes there's great stories that can be told in the length of the song, but then there'll still be some existential meaning to that.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying I don't write those. I have a couple of those short ones where you know exactly what's going on. But
then everyone can kind of connect with that and be like,
yeah,
fuck that.
I would say my overall, like you were asking, encapsulating what I've most of my genre. Try to keep it pretty chill, very upbeat. Even the slower ones. If it sounds sad, I guarantee it's probably not a sad song. If it sounds upbeat, it could be a sad song. I was just trying to disguise it. You don't know.
I kind of describe your music. I've just been thinking about how to describe it. It's sensitive, man, and I don't mean that in like a. I don't mean to put that off. It's just there's a sensitivity to it that's like, okay, I see what's going on here, and it's making me feel this way. So
okay,
sorry, I just bumped my mic there, but
good.
I don't know. That's kind of how I look at it. But then you also have.
I'm glad that makes you feel that way, though.
Yeah, see, and that's maybe not necessarily what you were necessarily going for, but you have so many other elements that you incorporate into your music, which I also find appealing. I mean, you do rock sometimes, and then you do jam sometimes, and I
love all that.
Appreciate that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
Yeah, I like doing all that stuff. I like the slower acoustic vibe that makes you feel really cozy and warm and chill. Yeah. But you've also seen I really like to shred electric guitar too.
You do.
Like I like to play blues and I like to get loud sometimes. I like all of it. I just want to mix in this nice little bubble somewhere there in the middle.
I think there's something there. I mean, John Mayer does his own little acoustic thing, and now he's whatever lead guitar for Dead and Company.
Dead and Company, yeah. So he's doing a great job with that too. It's amazing.
Love it, dude.
He did his homework. It was awesome.
He did. It's uncanny how good John Mayer is at Dead and Company.
Mm-hmm.
Let that be known. I'm a fan of John Mayer as well. Now,
yeah,
I wasn't before, but now I am.
Oh, I kind of still was. I do like me some Jones Mayer.
Definitely. Well, so I don't know what I was going to ask. I was going to ask you something great. Oh yeah, this one. So you take a special approach to your songwriting, like your lyrics, which we discussed a little earlier. You brought this up. This is your favorite. It's a question you've never been asked. I'm going to ask it right now.
It is true. We're on a podcast, and we also discussed in the podcast. Obviously, you can kind of get more in depth with your interview. You can discuss more things, get in a real conversation.
Definitely.
When you're on the radio, you get asked pretty specific things, and you're quick in and out.
It's kind of rapid fire.
Boom. So this has never come up ever, and I don't think it's a problem with that. It's just like
it need to know most over.
Yeah, they just need to know a couple things about you and get you out the door, and because the next segment's coming up.
Yeah.
But yeah, no one's ever asked anything about the lyrics, and I tell this to a few people, but no, a lot of people don't know that I never write any cuss words in my lyrics.
What the fuck?
I know. Well, I cuss all the time.
I know.
I'm fucking terrible.
We talk all the time. Like I always see you're like, hey, what the fuck's going on, man?
Yeah. And when I'm playing live shows, unless it's like a family show,
yeah,
because you have to clean up those with the kids out there.
For sure.
But otherwise, even if it's my own songs, I'll add horrible words in the middle of my songs. Like it just happens. Whatever's in the spur of the moment, whatever I'm feeling, it's
give it that little spike to it,
Yeah.
Little.
I'm just gonna be like, shit, whatever. it happens. But I refuse to write them in my song lyrics, and this goes back to a teacher I had in junior high, Mr. Brizzell. And it was I think it was during a lesson during Shakespeare, and we were learning how he would eloquently tell someone to their face how terrible they are, but they wouldn't even know. They would walk away not even knowing what he was just saying to them. He was completely just like dissing them.
Okay.
Without saying any curse words, but he was more eloquent with his words. And basically what I took away from that was I feel like when you're actually in the writing process, I feel like there's always a good way to explain yourself. Like, I understand that using shit, fuck, whatever you want to use, lets out the angst really fast and gets that point across really fast. But I feel like I can still give you that point without putting those words in there. And I may change those words when I get live.
Drop them in there.
Yeah, and I'll drop them in there.
Really hit that point, especially the audience's vibe, and you're like, boom.
Yeah, but if you're like reading my lyric sheet or something, you won't see them in there.
It's not going to be there.
No.
That's very interesting.
I thought it was an interesting lesson.
It is. I mean, that's a crutch that a lot of people use, myself included, to make an impact on their speech and on others. It's so easy to say a curse word and just make an impact instantly.
Exactly.
So,
and that's why we use it so often, I think.
It is. And it's just fun. I don't know.
It is.
Why is it so fun still? Like, to this day, like, you're in 7th grade and, like, you let shit slip. And you're like, I don't know. Like,
it's fun to curse like a sailor.
Still, like 25 years later, it's still fun.
Yeah. Didn't get old.
It doesn't get old. So that's a weird thing, too, about cursing. But like you said, it doesn't necessarily take into everything into account that you want to say. I mean, it can be violent, like a curse word can be violent really quickly, but it's not everything you wanted to say. And in a lot of ways, a curse word can turn a situation into something that it shouldn't have been really quickly. Mm-hmm. And if you would have said it a different way, you could still have gotten the same point across without going I guess, towards violence.
Well, and hopefully, yeah. I mean, if you're using the short version, maybe it gets misinterpreted too quickly.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
So maybe clarify that a little bit, what you really meant by using your words.
Use your words, children.
But like I said, I like to curse all the time.
I know.
My normal speech, that's what it is. Live, that's what it is. You're going to hear me cuss a lot live on the mic. It's just the way it is.
Sorry, kids.
But if I'm going to sit down and write it and take the time to make it
you're going to put more
art
effort into that. Yeah.
I kind of like adhering to that rule. I think it makes me like that writing special to me, that I took the time to get around.
And you didn't take any shortcuts. You didn't take any shortcuts.
Something like that. I'm not sure. It was a fun little lesson for me in junior high. Okay. And I really liked that teacher, so it stuck with me for some reason.
And now you're here.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I mean, we have a lot we could probably get to, but I do know we have music coming up. You brought your guitar.
I did.
And I know.
We should probably sound check that.
We can sound check that. So we can get to that. I'm not saying we should do it right now. We can. I don't know how long we've been here. About an hour?
I did not look. Yeah, about an hour.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of listeners are like, dear Lord, this thing's going on forever. But once again, it was nice because it was more of a conversation. We weren't like trying to pick and find certain things. But we can blast those off if you want to.
Like, no. We can. So I was just getting at, you're here to play you do have some music to play.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have. So Ben Pooh can be found playing at lots of bars across northern Colorado all the time,
mm-hmm.
which is what I love about him. He grinds it out. I feel like I'm never going to miss an opportunity to see him because I just know he's going to be here, which is great, which I do appreciate. It's like, oh, Ben Pooh's going to be here next week. Okay, I'd like to go have a beer there. Same time, we'll work it out. I'm going to go see Ben Pooh play. So he has that going on. I do have to say, you said you were scared of the recording studio earlier.
Mm-hmm.
You said that.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of true, because I went back into your Spotify, and you do have music on Spotify. You can go back and
mm-hmm. listen,
and I appreciate listening to it. But 2013 was your last solo album.
Yep.
And in 2017, most recently, was your album with Ben Pooh and crew called Try Again Tomorrow.
Yep.
So that's a year and a half ago, man. I don't. Do you have some new music coming out soon? You've been working on anything?
I do. I've got a lot of new stuff, and that's probably actually what I'll end up playing for you tonight.
No way.
Is one or two new ones, but
no way.
I was on a writing binge just recently, and I think we came out with maybe 5 new ones that I really, really enjoy. So I sent them to the band too.
Okay.
And that's kind of like they'll lay it down for me. They'll be like, I like it, I don't like it. They're pretty good at it. Let me know. And I feel like these 5 are pretty solid, so that'll be the next either solo. I'm not sure if it'll be a band album or which one's coming. I kind of like to alternate between the two. So since we just put out the Try Again Tomorrow with Ben Pooh and crew, which was more of a blues album, really.
It was.
I'll probably end up doing an acoustic solo album again since Relax was so far back. But the reason why that was so far back is because I did that whole process myself, and I kind of burned out of that, and it was a double disc. It was like 22 or 24 tracks.
Holy.
It was just so much work that I will never probably do a double disc ever again, because that was a big kick to the nuts on how hard it was to get that out.
Well, I got to ask, why did you decide to do a double disc in the first place?
I just had
a lot of material.
I just had so much material, and that was even weeding it out. Those were like my favorites. And they had been sitting there for years. So the previous acoustic album before that was even quite a few years.
Okay.
And I was like, man, if I want to get to the newer stuff that's not even out there, that people keep asking me what album it's on, and it's not even recorded yet, I'm just going to get all these out on this one disc, get it over with, so we can move on to the next new ones that people are asking for.
Okay.
And then get to the studio and do it again.
Beautiful. So you do have new music coming out.
Hopefully.
And it will be recorded.
Hopefully. That's the plan.
That's the plan.
Yeah, I'd like to do that for some of these new ones, yeah.
Good. I got to say, I'm at an advantage. Like I said, I can go see Ben Pooh almost any time I want, which is a beautiful thing for me. But I do feel bad for people that are maybe just rolling through town. They're like, oh, I like that guy. But now, good things are coming.
Need to get some more of that studio workout, and the plan for this year, too. Got the new nice iPad this year, the iPad Pro, which is getting a lot of shit done quick, which is awesome.
So it has its advantages.
It does. So you're probably going to be seeing a lot more YouTube postings and videos of newer music and some shows. A lot more this year than previously. So
beautiful, man. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to your show tomorrow night at the Moxie Theater.
Thank you. 8 p.m. doors.
8 p.m. March 8th. I'm just going to say that in case someone watches this on March 9th and they're like, crap, I missed the show. Yeah, you did miss the show if you're watching this or listening to this on March 9th.
Happens all the time.
Happens all the time. So if you're live, like I see a lot of you are.
Oh, yeah, I should probably wave to some cameras. What's up, guys?
What's up, guys?
Hey, y'all.
Ben Puma's
Hope you're still watching. We got deep in there. We got deep.
That was fantastic. I mean, we could go on forever, but that is one thing. So blues. So you're obviously you have some blues roots, into blues, played some blues shows. Mm-hmm. You mentioned Blues Jam coming up. You have a spot secured.
Yep.
So that's a big thing. So for those that don't know, Greeley Blues Jam is a huge, one of the world's biggest blues festivals. I don't know if that's actually true, but it's definitely a big one. I don't
know if that's accurate, but
it's a big one, though.
It's definitely one of the biggest festivals we have here in Greeley, for sure.
For sure.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It's June 7th is the Friday night kickoff here, downtown Greeley. They're doing the Go Cup. You can come out, and they do live music at all the bars, plus out on the street. I think maybe we'll see. It's a big deal. And then the next day, the Saturday, would be June 8th, is the big festival at the Island Grove.
Yep.
So it's a big thing, and you got a slot there.
It's huge. Yeah, well, I think we are, Ben Pooh and crew will be at the Jaeger. I'm not sure if they're doing multiple bands or if it's just us, but we at least have a slot down there for the Friday night for the kickoff Blues Jam.
Boom.
Yep.
And now it's time to hear some of the musical stylings of Ben Pooh.
I'll tell you what. How about you pour me a thing of whiskey while I grab this guitar?
Definitely. I will pour you a shot of whiskey. I want to ask you about your guitar. Maybe you can... It's a very pretty guitar, and those of you watching on Facebook can see it. It's like this mint green. It's very beautiful. You've had it for years, I feel like. I've seen you play it hundreds of times. Does it have a story? Does this guitar have a story?
You know, not totally. I have another acoustic guitar that I used to call my number one. It's a Dean. It looks so pretty. It's like natural wood.
Okay.
Kind of looks like Cowood with a nice stain. I don't believe it is Cowood, though, but it kind of looks like that. Okay. But I was wearing down the frets. I needed another number one. Came across this when I was at the store at Spotlight in Fort Collins, and I tried it out, and it just felt so good. And tried it out. The pickups weren't quite the way I wanted them. They had to actually send it back and get another one, but when I got the next one, it just felt right, and I've been playing it ever since. But now I'm starting to wear this one out a little bit, so you might have to look for another number one, which will be like number 3 on the line for the acoustics. We'll see. It's just I play it so often.
I was going to say, before you start here, how many hours do you play on an average day?
Well, you know, I take some days off now.
You do?
Because when I have like a really long weekend or something, I kind of got to save up the hands a little bit.
Okay.
But... I mean, for example, when I was learning guitar, like in high school, probably minimum was like 6 hours a day. It was a lot.
Damn.
Like a day.
Damn.
That was mostly on electric, probably.
Okay.
And then through schooling and everything, it's a lot. It's a lot of time a day.
Well, it shows, obviously.
Well, thank you.
All right, Ben Pooh.
It won't show during these, but...
What do we have coming up?
I'm going to play one of the new ones that I was discussing. Ooh. And the reason I have my iPad here is all these songs are so new, I don't even have them completely encapsulated and complete to the frameworks. I mean, the framework. Okay, I lied. The framework's there. But I don't have the words memorized quite yet. We're getting there.
We'll get there. I'll tell you what, I'm going to leave the room. I'm not going to leave you completely, but I'm going to go to the back, and I'll be right back. But
I'm going to try to figure out how to maybe put this right
you can
in the middle.
I can show you how to do that, actually.
I think that's good.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Ben Pooh.
Check 1, 2. Maybe I'll do that a little more. All right, this is a new song written about a buddy of mine. His name is Brian. He passed away not too long ago. And like I said before, sometimes songs that deal with heavier stuff for me end up being more poppy and upbeat. Kind of how this went, but it's more of just a remembrance to him. So this is called Late Nights and Conversations. Dreamscapes and new beginnings, current losses and future thinking. Grab your friends tighter than you're feeling, they fade away in a blink. Off days when games are played, quiet nights and conversations. Too many shots that we have taken, it works out in the end. It works out in the end. Sing along to every 80s song, smoke breaks to cool back down. Not sure how you won that one, but just lucky I guess. I'll fill it up and drink another, our minds go further. Tomorrow we'll do it again, at least that's what I thought. It works out in the end, it works out in the end. I don't know where you are. I'll see you when I'm looking at the stars, 'cause I don't know where you are. Late nights, and conversations. Late nights, and conversations. Late nights, and conversations. Late nights, and conversations. Dreamscapes and new beginnings, current losses and future thinking. Grab your friends tighter than you're feeling, they fade away in a blink. Off days when games are played, quiet nights and conversations. Too many shots that we have taken, it works out in the end. It works out in the end. 'Cause I don't know where you are. I'll see you when I'm looking at the stars, 'cause I don't know where you are.
Perfect.
Well, thank you.
Late night conversations.
Late Nights and Conversations. Song about Brian Fairweather.
I was going to say, I think I knew where that one was coming from. A dear friend.
Yep.
Man.
Kind of weird, right? It doesn't sound super sad, but
Yeah,
makes me feel a little weird when I play it.
that's all right.
In a good way.
He hears it. I think he appreciates it. I know he does.
Yep.
Man, well, thank you for sharing this. That's one of the new songs coming out.
Yeah, that's one of the new ones I've been working with, and just got to finally work with it with my bass player, Chris Minchon, the other night, so we're working out some more of the band stuff. We'll get there, but yeah, thanks for having me, man. I mean, honestly.
Before we go any further, I forgot to say, happy birthday,
Thank you.
buddy.
I appreciate that.
Cheers to your turning of age.
Cheers to us doing this a day late because of my birthday.
Because of your
Because we were so hungover the other day.
Both of us, dude. Oh my
We couldn't do it yesterday, the day after my birthday. It was just a wreck. So
we did have this plan for yesterday.
Yeah.
We did it today.
Cheers.
Cheers
It got
to that.
done though.
It
Yeah,
is
indeed.
done. Yeah. So now we drink more whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
Celebrate the completion of the podcast.
Indeed. Once again, thank you, Cole, for having me.
Dude, absolutely.
Loving the studio, loving the idea, loving the new podcast. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Keep getting these new people in here.
Yeah, that's what
Because
it's
we got a
about.
lot of talent around here, and it's awesome to see you like put it out to more people out there that can see it.
That's the whole point, man. I mean, you guys all have interesting stories. Of course, everyone has great music. I feel a lot of the, stories kind of maybe get lost or hidden, and I like to hear the stories myself. So,
Agreed.
Try and bring them out here, especially yours.
I'm glad you're doing it.
Well, I don't know what else to say other than thanks for coming, and
Yeah.
show tomorrow night, Friday, March 8th, Moxie Theater. Ben Pooh opening up for the viral Andy McKee.
Yes, indeed.
So
Thanks for having me.
that should be a good one, man. Yeah. Until next time. Cheers.
Cheers.